teams.
And we are into pick and ban, ladies and gentlemen, for our first game of the day for Wlgaming versus Excel UK. And before we start talking about all the kind of different picks, we'll have plenty of time. I want to ask you guys one quick thing as I see the Heimerdinger actually taken away. It's actually the swap around. Thank you very much, Ox, for telling me that. It's actually going to be Excel on the blue with Wlgaming on there. Thank you very much, production. And we do see Wlgaming banning the Heimerdinger. But if someone's going to pop off for the side of Excel, who are you looking towards?
I mean, I think I'm looking towards Shannon and Special. Special's been delivering really hard since he's been introduced into this roster. Shannon, if they get gold on him, he has sort of moved a bit away from playing these mages. He still can play the Heimerdinger, but you put him on a Kaiser, and he can just go off so hard.
For Wlgaming?
Oh, for Wlgaming? I was actually looking towards Delito as well. I was looking at that Rumble, of course, now being taken away. And you can see they're actually targeting a few picks there with the likes of the Aatrox taken away as well. Not something they want to have to deal with.
Our first pick, though, going to be the Xayah for Excel, something that we've seen pretty much consistently throughout play-ins and everything. But the Pantheon response means that Kassim will not be getting his hand on that. Yeah,
it's something that he's relied on pretty heavily. The strength of it is so good at early tower diving, which Excel love, because you can tank tower hits for 2.5 seconds. You have a point-and-click stun, and the level 1 invades are another big thing. But Greece, I looked at a bit of their playoffs, and they are very fond of the level 1 invade, so they are very ready for whatever Excel throws to them before the minions start to spawn.
The one thing I like for Wlgaming here is that Excel have pretty much shown their hand in the sense that we want to play around bot lane. That's where we're focusing. So they want to push up towards Delito. You can see that immediately with the kind of bans they're bringing out here, the Aatrox and the Rumble. So I'm looking for them to try counterpick in that top side and see what they can make for Delito.
And it looks like it is going to be the Rakan. The Lovers duo locked into that bot side. Silas locked in as well. Excel gonna hover that thing, but we don't talk about hovers here. So right now you can see, you know, you're kind of trading powers off right now. You're trying to trade big key ultimates.
This one's really interesting because you may think, oh, they picked Xayah, of course they're gonna pick Rakan. Kassim has not picked Rakan up. He's had opportunities to, throughout plans, throughout the UKLC, and every single time he's gone, no, I want to play Pantheon, I want to play Fiddlesticks, I want to play this. He has not lent on that Rakan, and now he's saying, look, things are getting serious. I want to play the strongest bot lane in the game right now, and looks like he's trying to deliver and show off.
I think as well for, like, you know, it's kind of a bit of a risk because I've seen it go horribly wrong. I've seen the Lovers duo just not do anything. LPL do not like the Rakan whatsoever. I'll tell you that right now. They just do not think it is a very good pick. But obviously,
they can be wrong.
They can, and you can be wrong. There's no problem with that. There's no shame. But they are going to see the Syndra Silas swap over, as we talked about there yesterday, is going to happen here today with a Tahm Kench picked up for a little bit of safety in that bot side.
The two biggest picks for me for Wlgaming were the Rumble and the Tahm Kench. They have managed to get their hands on the Tahm Kench. I think Fallen is a critical part of the team. He helps with them being able to have safety bot. They are much better playing around their solo lanes, allows them to transition, but the downside is they don't have that Rumble for Delito. He is so stellar on this pick, and Wlgaming, they love to team fight in the later stages.
I was actually saying for Wlgaming, though, this does open up the option to 1-3-1. If you're worried about the fact you're going to lose priority in the bot lane, you want to play through a top laner, you could maybe set up a split pusher here and Tahm Kench facilitating those kind of move around the map. And that's something I'd like to maybe see them lean into if they're looking to surprise Excel here.
We do see the Fiora banned away as well as the Karma. Vladimir Ashe will be banned away by Excel. So last two picks coming into here. You would imagine it will be an AD carry coming into the bot side and a potential Pantheon jungle. But, you know, I have seen Pantheon mid quite a bit with Dombey, so it's quite hard for me to see it anywhere else.
So I really like the fact they're going for this Ezreal Tom. During their playoffs, when they went 2-0 down in their final game, they were playing around bot side, and the bot lane are good players. It's just they couldn't execute well on it. Here they've gone, look, our focus is our solo laners, leaning on to what you said, they can play a strong 1-3-1, and then often Excel's responses to groups. So I think that given a safe bot lane out like the Ezreal Tom is great. I want to see them round out their composition with a really strong team fighter to set themselves up for when Excel inevitably goes, fine, you want a 1-3-1? We want a group.
On the other side, though, I do like that Excel have gone for things that are just generally quite strong in the meta, and you follow up with a really aggressive jungler in the Jarvan who can get a lot of those ganks off quite early. This is something that also sets them up for success, so then it's about how Wlgaming can respond to this aggression.
We are going to see the Gangplank locked in, so like you said, just kind of strong picks within this meta as of this moment and time. We'll see now what Wlgaming want to put in as their final pick. I've got a little bit of flexibility with junglers and, of course, with the solo laners. Pretty damn convinced it's going to be Tahm Kench Ezreal bot, though, of course, so we'll have to wait and see what they go for. Have seen Delito play this Cassiopeia. This could be a Cassiopeia top.
Could potentially be. I mean, there's a lot of variation with those three picks between the Silas, the Pantheon, and the Cassiopeia. There's a lot of flexibility to happen there, so we'll see where they play out. I am concerned about them going up against Excel's composition. This composition is just strong all round. and it suits Excel. What they want to do is establish control in the mid on the back of special Syndra and Taxa having a strong ganking jungler and translate that power bot lane. Having the GP is perfect for Sendo. He can just farm in a tower, and when he needs to help his team, calls in that cannon barrage.
And my worry is that Excel as a team, yes, they have some late scaling, but a lot of what they want to do can be enacted early on. You can push a gold lead quite quickly by using the Zyra can, pushing forward with that Syndra and roaming people down towards the bot lane. Wlgaming have to respond really quick and manage to stay safe in that time. They do have the picks to do that, but are still under a lot of pressure there and will lose gold on tower plating. I feel like they're under a huge amount of pressure in an attempt to stall, and I'm not sure Excel will give them that room.
All right, gentlemen. I was going to say ladies and gentlemen, but, you know, don't want to assume anything. But, gentlemen, we are going to see our teams locked and loaded, of course. Now, very, very quickly, before we send it up to our casters, I want to see who you think is going to win. Also, who do you think is going to be the catalyst for why they win?
I think XL are going to win. I think the catalyst is going to be between the mid-jungle. I don't know if that's cheating.
That's fair. I'll take that.
But I think it's going to be they get priority mid lane, they translate that bot, and then Ezreal, Tom are a safe bot lane. You can't survive against 4 members of XL, though.
I mean, it's very likely that Excel win through the jungle specifically, but I would love to see if Wlgaming do win. I think a lot of it will be on Deleto.
All right, well, I'm going to go with Wlgaming because I love gaming, and that's just my logic towards that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to send this one up to our casters, Ex-Scoundrel and Veteran.
I see BP took a leaf out of my book in terms of predicting, which is just literally predict the first thing that comes to your head and then give a random reason for it. Yes, hi, I'm Scoundrel. I'm joined by Veteran, and we're going into the first game of groups for the second day. It is XL, the first time we've seen them out of the play-in stages, going against WLG, Wlgaming from the Greek League. And WLG are a team that has actually been to the European Masters before. They were competing in the spring split and actually forced a tiebreaker. They had a bit of an upset in that group. So it's a team we definitely want to keep our eyes on, but XL are on the hot streak right now, Veteran.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are, but on the point of WLG, actually, they had a playoffs run that was the most invested I have been watching almost any playoffs run in DRL. They reversed swept a team that included both Punisher and Dominant, and also had Wild Panda. These are all very well-known players within the Greek League, and their reverse sweep kind of came on the back of realizing, sure, we do have pretty good bot laners. I think their support in particular does quite a lot for them, but we're not very good at playing around bots. So they ended up putting their bot laner on the Tom Kench, on the Ezreal, on all of these kinds of picks, and then playing really heavy for solo lanes, and you see that lesson learned. And I'm really glad that you see that lesson learned, because honestly, the bot lanes in the EU Masters are incredibly strong. XLs with Fionan and Kasing play very heavily around that, so I'm glad to see them go for this kind of stuff. It's absolutely the kind of things we want to see coming out of them here. Yeah,
and remember, this is an important game because this is a very stacked group for XL. They need to make sure they get the wins when it counts. They are looking like they were predicting an invade at the start here, but WLG are going to play it safe. I think that's good in the best of one scenario. Always better to play it safe.
Well, WLG actually did this in their second game in the finals of the Greek League, and they fell for that stack, actually. They went on a full invade bot side with the Braum, but here they have an Ezreal bot side, which is really good to invade in, and a Sylas, which is really good to invade in, and XL were predicting that maybe they would go for the same issue again, but they didn't. WLG have learned their lesson. They're maybe not particularly the best at level 1s in that sense. They almost lost that game entirely off that. So instead, they're opting for a fairly safe bot to top start coming out the Sylas here, which means we can quite clearly see that he wants to go for playing around this solo laners. He has pretty decent synergy of them, but WLG are a team that has fallen behind and used key team fighting ultimates to win out by playing a very wide map state later. And when I think about teams that get countered by like wide map states, XL is way up there, because that's basically how Fnatic were able to come back against them game after game.
Yeah, so let's boil this down now, and just before we move on to it, if you saw the Twitter vote, it was an 86% favour for Twitter analysts on Excel's side of things. Wow. I don't think that's completely unexpected in this scenario. Let's take a look at the team comps, though. I always like to try and highlight what win conditions are for each individual team. I want you to just briefly tell me the win conditions for XL and the win conditions for WLG.
I mean, we've basically only been talking about WLG's win conditions and even the history of their win conditions at this point. So very simply for XL, you have special on the champion that he can unlock himself with and then look to make those side lane plays with Taxa. And in... Oh, is he actually? He isn't on the reason. Okay, we're all good. He cleared the red buff. He's not Arcadian. I
was going to say Broken Shard, but that's a bit of an old school one.
That's very old school. Everyone should remember Arcadium from these days. But he will very often go for these roaming plays with Taxa onto, and I say side lane, I really mean wherever Kasing is on the map. They play really heavily around this guy. It's generally bot lane, generally with Hyanan. While they had Exile on their team, they had some swaps where they had Hyanan mid. But I'm expecting to see them just group 2-man towards bot side for a straight-up 4-man dive at points when Hyanan and Kasing on the Zion Rakan start accelerating the game. It should be around about level 6. They're a very easy composition bot lane to accelerate the game around, and yeah, I mean, you're seeing Special comfortably get pressure right now. Jarvan playing through that to get back to his bot side camps. You may see an acceleration play coming out early. This is a team that likes to go hard and fast, but normally they'll have like the Pantheon for the really early ones, right?
Yeah.
Xayah Rakan on the other hand, you know, you can wait until 6 and it's basically an invincible lane. Meanwhile, Davis looking for an initial topside gang.
Yeah, so you did say that WLG looked to try and play around their top side of the map, their solo laner specifically. Actually, good presence of mind from Sendo. Just another wave was coming back towards him anyway. He didn't need to take any aggressive positions in the lane there. And actually, from what I've noticed, just from watching this game from a passive standpoint so far, Special seemingly having the slight edge, in the, well, not even the slight edge, he's seemingly a decent edge over Paris Gui in the mid lane. And actually, already a plate for Hyanan and Kasing on the bot side of the map. So looking just to exert their 2v2 pressure versus a lane that does classically struggle with wave clear.
Also, Taxa secured his topside camps really early, so right now there isn't actually anything for Davis to go in. Like, he went from his bot side immediately straight towards his topside clear, and now it looks like Paris are getting aggressed on. He does need to crash this wave, so I expect a hover here from Silas, which we do seem to be getting to make sure that wave crash and Special doesn't freeze it. Top, Gangplank is not going to be able to hold this freeze, so we may see Davis go from his bot side camps back to top side in like a couple of minutes, and maybe we'll see something happen there.
Do you think if you're WLG though, if you've studied Excel's game strategy, do you think there is going to be part of Davis that's saying, I need to be bot to potentially protect against dives?
I mean, there will always be the temptation, right? But honestly, League of Legends is a game about playing your game faster than the enemy team can play their game. So I really do approve of what they've done, which is they are making Excel's job as difficult for them as possible, as Real Time is a very, very safe lane in that regard. And, well, you are seeing some trades coming out, but they will try to accelerate the game faster around the Pantheon, around the Casio, than Excel can around their bot lane.
Oh, Taxa has actually started this camp up. Now Davis going to walk straight into him. Taxa going to dive over the red buff. He's in a little bit of a precarious spot, but will be able to use the blast cone to get to safety. That was dangerous from Taxa, though, because if you look at the position of the mid laner and the top laner, he could have very easily be collapsed on here, and that looks like what Paris Gui is trying to do is now Taxa should get an EQ combo to get out of this over the wall, but it's just that zoning potential. You could see how dangerous that could have been had Taxa committed a bit harder there.
I mean, Special was on a reset. Pantheon had priority on top side. He couldn't go for any sort of extended fight there, even if he thought he could win the 1v1. You can't model this as a 1v1 in your head, so he had to get out of there. Kind of a curious move from him. I wouldn't have really expected it. It's not generally how Taxa plays, but normally we're used to seeing Taxa with like an earlier spiking bot lane, right? This is a much calmer game than we're used to seeing from Excel. I
mean, to be honest, Hyanan and Kasing are getting the work done themselves right now. I mean, they don't really need much input. They've nearly pulled 3 plates in 6 minutes. This is just a display of a bot lane that's looking to push in. Even though they're behind in CS, they've gained so much gold from those plates. They're generating an advantage by themselves right now.
Yeah, they are. You can see 1,700, 1,800 gold in the bank account for Xayah there for the next time that she resets. It's incredibly strong. The big issue right now for WLG has been why wasn't anything set up on top side earlier. There were definitely situations where Pantheon should have been able to set something up. I never saw those situations materialize in lane, so you wanted to play it out 1v1, which means you're not able to accelerate your objectives as fast as the enemy team were able to accelerate theirs on the bot side of the map.
The other big, I think, glaring point is that Special is dominating in terms of lane pressure. I mean, you expect that, I think, with a Syndra, but in this scenario, Special is really putting the pressure on Paris in this mid side of the map, and that's difficult, making it hard for Paris to react. And also kind of locking Paris in that lane as well. So if we ever did see any shenanigans in the bot side of the map, Paris might get stuck there.
Oh, they may be looking to do a play here. We've seen a lot of jungle invades with Kasing paired with them before, but we do have Full-In coming here and matching that. He wasn't necessarily matched in his finals series in the Greek League, and he ended up being a big difference maker in that series versus Wild Panda because of it, especially on the Tahm Kench. He was actually able to make a pretty decent amount of plays towards the mid lane on that, and they seem to be looking to him to be a difference maker here as well. But, you know, Kasing is a big test. for a lot of these young support players. Ooh.
That was a nice shield from the Pantheon there, just blocked out the damage coming from the barrels. But
Davis is here as well.
Yeah, Sendo's held his own. Davis is coming through, though. Oh, he does manage to land the Gangplank ultimate. He has flash, though, and will be forced to flash as well. So Davis forces the flash out, but this is a level 7 first flash force in the top lane. If you're looking to play through topside, it feels a little bit late just to have burnt that initial summoner. Yeah,
especially given the progress Excel have made on that bot tower. It does look like they will be able to unlock their bot lane first. And I would be very worried after this blue buff handoff if they do look to start making plays bot lane now that Kasing is very close to level 6. I feel like there's a timer here, you know, at this point, you know, Excel will go hard and fast. And WLG, they had windows early and they weren't able to really do anything with it.
Yeah, I think Sendo took a really early back in the top lane as well. I don't know if you saw it, but he took a very, very early back. Yeah. Just basically because he put the wave in a position where Delito could have potentially frozen it, and he just said, no, I'm going to back off, going to let that wave push back towards me. And that was a big time period where maybe Davis could have found something because the wave was so in favor of them. He just never got the opportunity to as well.
I mean, there was a bounce back that Pantheon should have allowed to happen topside, I think. But ultimately, Gangplank is a difficult guy to lock down, but if you lay it properly from Pantheon's side, there shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Sure, well, they seemingly have an opportunity with the flash being down, but it is a little bit late now into the game to start snowballing that Pantheon lane.
I'm going to say Tax has had the easiest job of his life this game.
He's not really had to do anything.
The enemy jungle hasn't tested him at all, and his lanes are basically winning at this AFK point, and he's gotten the acceleration point for bot side. Now, if he wants to play really hard to bot side, now is the time. You are seeing Fallen coming in on the mid section, while his bot lane is on reset. We don't have any TP out on Israel as well.
Yeah, this is they are going for a very early drink. I don't even know if Excel have figured this out. I'm assuming they have, but they are reacting very slowly to it.
Pantheon's moved from the top section to mid to cover them, basically, and they are worried about this SS. Sendo doesn't have TP, only has the Gangplank ultimate, so Pantheon would be more impactful there, and Cassio's already there, so that makes up the numbers disadvantage you have by not having the Ezreal there. And it turns into a successful Drake.
And Excel actually subscribed quite nicely to the veteran point of view that it doesn't matter if it's a Mountain Drake pre-10 minutes or whatever, you just let it go if you have to. Don't bother taking any risks for it, as Kasing looks to be a bit aggressive here. That turret is almost down. That'll be a full set of plates for Kasing and Hyanan in the bot lane if they manage to find it out here. And
well, Davis has just moved towards the top side of the map, and you do see that roam that we see with Special's version of Excel. Special and Taxa moving to bot.
Yeah, they're going to get that ward, but they will be spotted out. Bananito and Fallen are not going to take that risk, but it is a win for Excel overall because that's first turret and 5 plates for Hyanan and Kasing. Literally, Taxa had to do nothing in this lane. Didn't even need to play through with a bot lane dive. The bot lane did it by themselves. The response will be the Rift Herald, though, for WLG.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the correct play. They weren't really confident on the acceleration play around the Gangplank, but Sias was able to just hop over that wall, get past all of the vision that Gangplank had down on his lane, and go for the Herald. Hopefully they can get some plates on it. They have 3 minutes until that's not an option for them anymore. Kind of interested that Paris is here and he has no mana. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He's just instantly set.
He's a little bit behind Special still, but Cassiopeia still has that chance to scale. If we take stock of where we are, Excel are about 2,000 gold in the lead. This is a moderate early game lead for Excel. I mean, are they pretty happy with this scenario right now? They're just gonna lane swap instantly. I mean, Taxa really hasn't had to do much. This has been really just his laners outclassing their opponents in most scenarios right now.
Yeah, 100%. But like, you have to look at the composition itself, right? If they ever want to make something happen around bot, especially with Hyanan Kasing on the Zyra Khan, with the Gangplank ultimate coming in, with the easy champions from Taxa and Special in this regard, like they will win it at this point. So it's much easier for them than WLG, but they're making an attempt.
They're making a big attempt at a play at the top side of the map, as that's a brilliant ultimate coming out from Hyanan, but he may get focused down here as he doesn't have the flash. He's going to get taken down. First blood actually going over to Fallen here. But that was a nice collapse. How much is it going to get WLG? They might be able to just Rift Herald top right now.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to look for the Herald, but Gangplank is getting a lot bot side for it. It is a long lane scenario, and Pantheon is going to catch this wave, but all that solo XP is very juicy on him. However, they are trading economy top. And honestly, there's one of the kind of Tom Kench plays from Fallen that got them a lot in their final series in the Greek League.
Oh, they're actually going to be looking to go a little bit aggressive here as Kasing now jumps in. They're not going to do much with it, though. Just going to back off. They didn't actually get more than those 3 plates, and those 3 plates were shared across multiple members of the team there, so they couldn't even I guess, focus the gold onto one particular member of WLG. So actually, Excel were probably pretty happy with that Rift Herald play. They knew that they were going to lose plates somewhere, I assume, and they didn't have to give up too much for it.
Yeah, but I mean, they got a lot of economy where the economy somewhat matters. Once Ezreal does get to late game points, then they have some chance. But ultimately, the Pantheon's not gotten anywhere near as far ahead as they would have wanted him to at this point. And Gangplank, that's a ticking time bomb if you ever seen one, you know? Like, gets the late game, it's a one-shot o'clock. I
mean, but then let's be fair to WLG. Ezreal doesn't scale badly, neither does Cassiopeia, so they have options in the late game if they need to get to that point.
And Silas is a brilliant team fighter as well. Delito.
He's going for it. He solo kills Sendo, and that is a bit of a blow now because Sendo might not feel confident in that side lane.
So the setup bot with Gangplank shoving that wave in while they were dropping the Herald top should have been really bad because now Gangplank's fairly safe. But Sendo, for whatever reason, felt the urge to just move straight up towards the wave that he was going to very freely catch under the tower. Pantheon, though, a champion that can dive fairly effectively, but still, that kind of blew my mind a little that Sendo decided to do it. And Delito, you know, deleted him first opportunity. That's the benefit of being a long lane, and now Sendo isn't going to have the luxury of being able to just wait for a wave to come in, though it does look like he'll get a reset on this, so that's good at least.
Yeah, I mean, but Silas moving down, Davis looking maybe to punish this if he takes that Gromp and moves down towards Delito in this bottom lane.
Delito's saying to him in that brush, nope, you're not coming up here unless I give you permission to do so.
Yeah, this is a bit rough now because XL need to look to maybe do what they classically do and accelerate through bot because, or the bot lane rather, because they are now starting to lose pressure with Sendo. And actually, I've got to give massive credit to WLG. They have evened things out. They've kept the map, put the map into a better state for them, and they're not getting flattened by XL in the first 15 minutes. XL is actually a very even game now.
I don't want to take anything away from WLG when I say this, but I do feel like, sure, they are playing around their solo lane objectives. They're playing in the way that they learned over the course of their playoffs run is like optimal for them, and is definitely optimal if you're going against such a strong bot lane. However, you have to think there are versions of XL where this absolutely shouldn't have worked, right? Like the game starts at level 2 XL kind of deal, but
XL have definitely had their foot off the gas a little bit in this game. Taxa tried to walk up and smite that. We'll get dragged back in here by Davis, but WLG do not want to commit. They'll take the Drake in this situation.
Oh, Delito. Maybe he's going to catch him,
Oh, that's just going to be clearing the wave. I think he knows that he could be dead in this scenario, but actually he just backs out. That's an interesting ult, but maybe just trying to force that wave away so that if he does have to back, they might buy him some more time to protect that tower.
Yeah, absolutely. But the mid tower is down, which means Special has a lot of freedom, and he has been the guy that has signaled a lot of these players. And you've seen him hovering very heavy around the top side of the map, where the bot lane is. But Ezreal not really giving them any room to engage. Oh, may have said nope. Still not.
He's just trying to buy time, I think, here for Hyanan to get this top lane tower down. Actually, Special has been kind of silent this entire game, but he's silently been generating a big CS lead, silently putting pressure on that tier 1 in the mid. And it's just through this very early pressure that XL have again started to claw their advantage back. But now they're in a situation where all the tier 1s are down. This is where you kind of have to start making stuff happen to get any further advantage.
Yeah, and removing the mid tower is actually huge. Like, if you're Delito, you don't want that mid tower down. You want an easier time of being able to extend hardcore side lane plays. But with the mid tower down, it's a lot easier for Special to go and respond.
Sendo doesn't feel super confident in this tower. I don't think he's got the vision control to necessarily say, I can step up here really confidently. But he is just going to get away with it for another wave. It won't be long before this tower goes down. But Sendo just hanging on in this bot lane right now.
So they aren't really doing anything as a group around the Pantheon. Davis just kind of seems to... I mean, I haven't really felt his presence in the game for a while. And except for the Drakes, like, he hasn't really been doing anything. Well, at the very least, Taxa is trying to output some form of pressure, albeit with Special. But right now, moving as a group with his bot lane, they are able to take objectives. I need to see more from Davis.
Okay, Sendo now going to be the target. They're going to jump in. Davis looking for that ult. They're going to go in onto him, but the rest of XL is there. Kassin gets the knockup. It's a chain CC train as Delito is going to get taken out for a double kill on Hyanan. It will be the Tongue Lash picking up Gangplank at the end there, but that was a wonderful chain CC, and WLG had no idea it was coming.
I need to see more, but there are better times to try to show me more, Davis. So I'll say that much. Casio able to get a tier 1 tower on his side lane, but this is going to be a tier 2 tower for Excel, and very comfortably so.
Any kind of shortcomings for Sendo in this game have more than amply been made up for by Hyun and Special on the bottom mid side of the map here for Excel, as is the story with most of Excel's wins, realistically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Excel are a team where they play really hard for groupings around the Kasing, around... Oh.
Okay, teleport comes in. Here's going to be the ultimate from, the stolen ultimate from Gangplank. I think that's Hyun and Kasing just going down here. Maybe a bit of a disrespect back, but it was a nice active play from WLG.
Oh, and WLG are like, oh, I hear Excel loves to play around Kasing. Maybe we should play around Kasing as well, and they do. And it's very successful for them. This is actually really, like, if you're one of these kinds of teams, you have to bear in mind, you never ever really see the gold. All they're seeing right now is that they are able to keep up in kills. They have been able to get those neutral objectives. They haven't been able to translate this into the tier 1 mid, like barely any damage on it at all, but that kind of pick is very, very encouraging for them. It humanizes your opponents if you've otherwise been beating them up in your head. And now it looks like they might be able to get the tier 1 on the side lane bot.
Yeah, they're going to pick that up, and that will actually, essentially, even the gold once more across both of these two teams right now. It's going to bring it to within 500 gold here for WLG. A couple of things to note if we take a look at the items again when they come back up on our scoreboard. There are a couple of spikes being hit here. Veteran Gangplank has finished that Triforce. We have got 2.5 items. The Essence Reaver Rapid Fire Cannon there for the Xayah. Special looks like he's pretty close to his second item of the game. We're at a point in the game where Excel should feel strong to fight.
Yeah, we also have, though, on the side of WLG, the Iceborne has been finished, the Manamuna has been finished, that's being stacked. You have some lifesteal coming out, but Ezreal is at the point where you can very safely wave clear, so I'd like to see a lot more dual plays with Fallen and Davis towards side lanes to try to start making things happen, particularly with regards to the Cassian pack. I mean, who else are you really going to do this for? Yeah. But we're now kind of calling on Fallen to try to make these kinds of plays happen. They are splitting the map, right? Like, you would think this would be much more of a stomp than it was, given how little happened early and given the champions in Excel's composition. But WLG are doing what we were saying that they would do, which is split the map, delay the game as long as possible, make picks where we can, and then eventually they just need to land a couple of good ultimates from Paris and Delito, and the whole of Excel could get deleted.
I actually want to mention Delito here, as it's something that may go a little bit understated, but he's actually got 100% kill participation in this game so far. Everything that has been set up by WLG has actually been facilitated mostly by Delito's Grand Skyfall.
Yep.
And he's just looked to make plays.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, they have played through their objective, just maybe nowhere near as hard as they possibly should have. Going for that Cloud Drake is a bit curious to me from Excel. I don't think they necessitate it on any of their champions or get any special value from it. And what they have done is they have actually traded vision control of Baron. Obviously, they still have that Scuttle out, but once that's gone, they're going to have to face check into WLG. And that's a Silas, that's a Pantheon, that's a Cassio.
Oh, Special almost flashed on by Paris Green. In goes Davis though with double flash down. That's going to be the Gangplank ultimate to stall, but Special goes through and gets run down by the Ezreal ultimate. It's a pick, just as you mentioned, having to face check into even their blue side jungle, and that vision loss is now going to get punished. And WLG with the Cassiopeia, they feel confident to try and start this Baron up.
Silas or Cassio, Silas and Cassio at the same time with the Ezreal ultimate coming in hot, and they're able to translate that into an objective really easily.
Tax is coming through now. Hyanan now Tax jumps in. Tax doesn't get the steal. It's going to be secured by WLG as the Grand Skyfall comes in. Hyanan trying to pop off right now. What can he do as he's getting engaged on by Bananito? XL run. They are routed. And WLG, they sneak a Baron.
Yep, well, sneak it on the back of the death of Special, but they have ultimately gotten the Baron. No idea why you would trade Cloud Drake. That Cloud Drake costs lives, guys. Please, let's stop over prioritizing certain Drakes and certain states of the game. That was not worth trading the vision around Baron, forcing yourself in a position where you have to face check against a team in a superior position, especially not this team, right?
I talked about WLG before. Previously in the European Masters, they made a surprise run, forcing a tiebreaker situation in their group. They are now ahead in gold to XL. Now let's not pretend like we haven't seen this before. We saw a great run from Diffuse Kids against Fnatic. But WLG, it's not like they fall off this game. They have a Cassiopeia, they have an Ezreal. I mean, there is worries for Excel now.
Absolutely. I mean, like, it's very encouraging for me per se, because it feels like they did not forget any of the lessons that they learned in the Greek League, right? And at the same time, they have built upon them, and they are at the point where they are able to contest a team that can do so well, like Excel. I mean, the Greek League has a lot of very strong players. Well, the Greek country has a lot of very strong players in EU Masters, right? We have Comp on LDLC, which is the next game. We have Lavrov on Big. They may have a very, very strong team in WLG, and WLG may not even have been considered the favourites for coming out. This potentially isn't even the best of Greek League. They have the likes of Dominant. They have the likes of Punisher. Big names that have been floating around in Greece for a long time, but if they're able to have an impressive showing of this, how much strength is there in this country? This could be a really big moment for Greece.
Yeah, and this is what the European Masters is all about. It's finding these regions that you never really considered to have that you know, that kind of strength. In the first season of the European Masters, it was the Balkan League where we brought the Click-Tech Club out. Yeah. And now we're maybe starting to see the Greek League step up here and potentially cause some upsets. And it really has been a quiet game for Excel. It's not what we're used to seeing from them. They never usually struggle to make magic happen, but maybe because they weren't able to execute dives that were coordinated, maybe they were relying on their laners themselves. Once they actually got the objectives that they usually would have snowballed harder off, they kind of lost the direction in the game. Yeah,
and WLG were granted the situations that they wanted, where they were able to force 5v5s on their terms, and they were able to force situations where their strong team fighting ultimates would matter. And if we want to talk about team fight ultimates, how many times have we seen Silas's pick?
So going to be a kill onto Pantheon.
Well, that's a bit of a BG. But you still have Baron buff ticking down, and you have Infernal Drake coming up in a minute, and they may be able to respond with a pick onto Sendu and on the side of Infernal.
Oh, Sendu flashes away here, maybe trying to escape versus WLG as they chase him down, but he's going to get a lot of movement speed here. That was a good escape from Sendo and a lot of wasted time from WLG.
Quite clearly the Cloud Drake was worth it, right? That's the justification, you know?
A veteran shown up by Cloud Drake.
There you go, right there. But WLG, if they can maintain this positioning, there are 2 resets coming out from Excel, 40 seconds until Infernal Drake. They could go for vision control here. Though it does look like Fallin has decided to back. He is refreshing his vision for this though, so let's see what happens around this Infernal. I think it's going to be a big flashpoint for this game. They ultimately weren't really able to get too much off of the Baron. Managing to get a mid tower down and maintain this kind of map state is more than good enough, and they still must be very encouraged. If they are able to secure Infernal, that's actually really huge for their composition. It would also be very big if Excel were to take it.
Yeah, and Excel have just hit some breakpoints as well, as have WLG. You can see the Infinity Edge now completed for Zaya. That's a big, big power point for her on that 3-item spike. So this will be explosive. Both teams have got very strong power sort of points. Wow, the Fallen just takes it away.
Beautiful.
He just wants to make sure they secure that River Scuttler.
I love it when I talk about a man as a difference maker and he shows up, but it's ultimately not going to be enough.
No, unfortunately, all that fancy work didn't quite work out. As Delito jumps in here, I think Delito's just dead. The rest of WLG are going to kind of let him go.
He's delaying. WLG are a little bit indecisive about what to do here. I think they should have just run it up with the mid wave, look to fix it. Very indecisive on that. They were just kind of oinking in between the gameplay. Like, can we go there? Can we not? Maybe we should. I feel a bit sorry for him, you know? You need to be a bit more decisive than this, guys. I'm going to say that, but the Infernal, very big for Excel. That could absolutely be the difference maker in the next team fight, because we have seen WLG are perfectly patient, willing to split the map until they get you in the team fight favorable to them. Maybe those kinds of team fights aren't the ones that they were before, now that the Infernal Drake is on the side of Excel.
Excel just now kind of pushing waves in, trying to play all 3 lanes at once here. I think top lane is slow pushing towards WLG. I can't quite tell from the map. Maybe you can tell me from the way that the mini-map looks.
I would assume it's slow pushing towards Excel, but I obviously can't see as well.
You're right. I think you're right, because there's a siege in there. There you go. Yep. Veteran confirmed better analyst, but I don't think that was a hard contest in the first place.
No, it wasn't.
I think right now, what does Excel want to do to sort of accelerate? What does WLG want to do? I mean, we're now at 27 minutes into the game. Both of these teams are actually fairly even. So, in fact, with WLG having a slight lead, what do both of these teams need to do to try and push that win condition?
The Baron is the big flashpoint now, right? So you want to be able to push through, get your mid priority if you're on either side right now, and it does look like Excel are fundamentally better at that. They're going straight for a 4-1. setup, and then they're going to lean up towards Baron's side, try to take control of it, and then look to make picks. However, it looks like, despite the fact that they were first on the map here, WLG are actually moving as a unit very comfortably here.
Yeah, there's both Casio and Syndra have finished their Rabadons now as well.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big deal for both of these mid laners. I think this is about, this is like the ultimate breakpoints for Excel. Like, this is the point where this is where they fight.
Okay. Both teams meeting, but WLG have position priority within the Baron. That's really, really big for them. I think ultimately the issue came down to Special going topside and then being on reset rather than contesting 5-man mid, whereas WLG are perfectly willing to contest with a composition that's much harder to break in these group scenarios on the midsection first. So.
What on earth just happened to the River Scuttler there?
Well, it was a fight between Mummy and Daddy. Daddy Tom wanted it to go one way, Mummy Syndra wanted it to go another.
I've never seen that before in my life.
Syndra got custody eventually.
Oh, Delito, you don't have flash. He does manage to get away, though. I don't think XL are going to commit. They're going to commit here. This might have been a mistake, because now Taxa is isolated. Yana and Singh backing off. Yana also solo low. It's going to be very, very hard now for WLG as they push in. I just had no idea what was going on there. I couldn't work out exactly who was winning that fight, but it looks like XL came away and got away scot-free.
So Silas is a champion that we've talked about a lot. A lot of these hard skirmishing teams love to pick it up and steal these critical ultimates and make them even better. But as you're going to see here, the ultimate that came out was the charm, but the damage follow-up wasn't really there. The burst from Pantheon is already gone. Ezreal can't really get into the fight. So even though he has him charmed up, if he's expecting Paris to be able to do something, or Paris wasn't there right now and he had some spells on cooldown, so the burst that he wanted for follow-up wasn't there, and he wasn't able to output himself because that was all he got.
A potential 50-50 in the works here as Davis is ready to jump over the pulpit. He actually misses that there. He jumps in, though, gets the chains over, now uses the Zhonya's. Is he going to be too low? He will be too low and can't use the smite. Davis is going to go down, and Delito will be the next target once more, as there's no flash available for him. It's going to be Bananito on the sidelines doing his best. It's a jump in from Fallen here. I don't know exactly what WLG were thinking, but it definitely wasn't a good response to that Baron as they give away the Baron and 4 kills.
Yeah, I think that's game there, to be honest. Pretty difficult contest to do with Fallen actually still in base. He only has the rank 2 ultimate as opposed to... Oh, that's a lot of XDs that I'm seeing there, actually. With only the rank 2 ultimate, he's only able to join the fight at a very, very late stage rather than be the frontline and the disengage that Paris needed earlier. So Paris is already out of the fight. Pantheon's out of the fight by the time he gets there. Davis, obviously, of his Zhonya's, maybe not the best decision. You want to have Smite active. But, you know, they made the attempt to contest, and they absolutely had to contest that after what had initially happened to get that into that situation. So
now the Baron is available and ready for XL. They can start to push in these lanes. And like you said, this is now going to be a rough place for WLG to come back from. I think Pantheon is going to start to drop off now as well. He's not really as relevant as at this stage in the game as he was earlier. And I think XL are just in a good position. WLG still have that Casio, they still have that Ezreal. There are scenarios where they could find a fight that works for them.
And this second Cloud Drake is obviously going to make Sendo invincible, so where do you really look to find advantages as WLG now?
Sonic Sendo,
I do have to say, they still have a Silas, they still have a Casio, and they do have an Ezreal that can... Okay, well, maybe not with that build. They do have an Ezreal that can still be very impactful later on in the later stages of the game, but they need to be able to fight on their terms if they want all of this power to come out well for them. They are, however, against one of the strongest bot lanes in the game. They are against the late game GP. They are against Special Syndra, and we have seen Syndra's do some monster damage as we saw yesterday.
Yanan also finished up his Phantom Dancer as well, so he's now at 4-item Zaya, which is definitely a very scary thing. That's a lot of damage coming out from Special as they start to siege onto these inhibitor turrets. WLG, they're very reluctant to commit here, and I don't think they can commit either. They
don't necessarily have engage tools. The only real engage tool they could have would be if Silas was to steal Tax's ultimate, but they are really a team that needed to use face check into them, which is why the Baron control mattered so much, and the neutrals were such big pivot points, but that's out of the game now. They're in their base. They would really seriously need to misstep for you to get an opportunity to just burst them out. I don't really see a good comeback play for WG. Maybe they can surprise me.
They may be looking for it. They have got the quickness ready on Davis, and he is going to threaten it, but I think XL make a pretty quick retreat and there's nothing really the WLG can do in this scenario as Excel get those enhanced recalls and head to safety.
This game is a bit of a slog, but we're coming to its conclusion, you know? Excel, they had advantages early, they really did push them, but WLG, by splitting the map, they were able to delay them, they were able to show the stuff they were able to show us in Greek League, and, you know, they had some really key fights go in their favor. Yeah. They just need more of the same, and they would be able to take on a lot of teams in their group. This is, you have to think, one of the hardest teams that they could potentially face in the entire tournament.
That's very true. A lot of people pegged Excel as like an outside run, not even an outside run, you know, favorites next to LDLC for this competition with the caliber of players that they have. You're also starting to see Sendo now really pop off in that Gangplank. You mentioned it. There's a certain point in the game where Gangplank's just going to be hitting you really hard, and it's very difficult to deal with. Excel have been given that time now, and they are at that stage.
Oh. Seeing an engage.
They're going to see an engage. I think Taxa should be able to get out here. WLG are doing their best to engage at this point, but Taxa is so safe. Hyanan jumps over the wall, gets the knuck up onto Davis. Davis still going in, but the fight is so split. WLG trying to ramp up as Gasing uses the quickness to back out. The rest of Excel are not in a great position to engage, but Special over the wall, he's looking for it. He's looking for the big stun as Hyanan is untouched. They get the initial resurrect. Slow fight right now as Special gets focused down as Bananito over the wall, trying to get that engage as he gets the kill. But in the meantime, the rest of Excel trying to take on WLG in the middle of their in the jungle rather, as they get a couple of kills. And still Hyanan just untouched in this fight. No one really able to deal with how strong this Xayah is. The sidestep to the side, and now Bananito will eventually go down. It was a long fight, but realistically,